So we're going to go over to this this video, Star Wars Theory, talking about Ubisoft blames fans. Now, Star Wars Outlaws failure. About Star Wars Outlaws failure. Okay. So let's watch this. We'll comment about this as well. Okay. If you guys don't know who Star Wars Theory, he doesn't need my help to promote his channel. Okay. This is Star Wars Theory. He's the largest Star Wars content creator on the platform. Very, very level-headed, like down to earth, even though as much as Paul Tassi and the rest of the internet like to think that this guy's a hater, this dude was the most positive person about Star Wars. It didn't matter what it was. He was just like, well, why don't you look at it from this perspective? And then everyone started shitting on him because, well, you know, reasons. So let's watch it, what he has to say about Ubisoft blames fans now for Star Wars Outlaws failure.
TheorySabers.com. I think one of the most important things that we can do in today's world, as things continue to progress and get really strange with just your ability to critique something or have an opinion, is to constantly call out this very strange and weird behavior and make sure that it is known that this is not acceptable. We're going to
100%, right? I, myself, you, yourself, are allowed to criticize anything and everything, okay? If you like it, if you don't like it, if you're full of shit and you're trolling and you don't like something just because it's fun or whatever, you're allowed to do whatever, okay? That is the only way to tell the companies if you like it or don't like it, okay? You can't assume just because you make a product that you put the product out there and everyone's supposed to like it, right? Like, I go live every single day. Is everybody that's watching on the internet be like, well, they got to hit the like button. They have to like me because I made the content. That is the most stupidest way to look at stuff, right? And that's what the businesses do. They're like, well, I made this game. You have to like it. Just shut up and play the game and don't complain about anything.
We're going to get into something today that I think really applies to Star Wars. I think it can shape Star Wars going forwards. Storytelling in general, movies today, games, books, whatever. And that is the fact that everybody should feel like they are allowed to have an opinion.
That's right. Everyone should have an opinion. He's absolutely 100% correct here. You're allowed to have your opinion.
Criticize something. If they don't like something, they're allowed to say that. And we're starting to live in this world now where it's actually wrong if you criticize anything. If it's not positive, you cannot speak it. You cannot say it because now, here's the logic in these people.
Right. If it's negative, you're not allowed to say anything about it. Look, as a person that owns a YouTube channel and runs a YouTube channel, if someone comes in and says something negative to me, I have every right to tear that person apart or not talk about it at all. Okay? I can pretend that when someone comes in and says, hey, Baldy, hey, old man, whatever, okay? And I can look at that and say, who the hell are you talking about? What are you saying? And I can respond back to that, or I could just ignore it, right? And as a business, you kind of want to ignore the bad apples that come in, but that's not what they do. They amplify it. They amplify it and say, because this person said something, that is the reason our product is bad. Not because it's actual bad. It's bad because those people are criticizing it and letting everyone else know that it's bad. No, they're saying it's bad because it's their opinion and they didn't like it. And because it is actually bad, that is why you're not making the money.
People, we're going to get to this in a minute. This is the monetization director at Ubisoft regarding Star Wars Outlaws or whatever else they got going on. And so heinous that, first of all, you cannot critique, you cannot judge anything anymore. But if you do, then keep in mind that you are solely responsible
That's right.
for the people who have worked on said project that you are critiquing, and therefore they will lose their livelihoods because you are critiquing their form of art.
Right. They worked 1,000 hours on the thing, and it comes down to me going, I don't like it. They fail, not because they have a bad product, not because it's not the best that they've done. They fail because a YouTuber says they don't like it.
Something they got paid to do by a head studio that's worth multi-billions of dollars, and you didn't like it. So therefore, if they lose their job because of your interaction or your vision of that project or media, then you're responsible for them losing their jobs. Let's get into this. So my boy...
Yeah, which is just... idiotic, right? If here's a food analogy, if my steak comes out undercooked or overcooked, and I complain as the customer, and then the cook loses his job because he undercooked my food, is it my fault? Because I complained for the thing that I bought and paid for is not good, and other people also complained. It wasn't just one complaint. It was multiple people complaining that this cook is not cooking the food correctly.
Boy, the Critical Drinker says something to this, and we're going to read what he says after this. So here's Stevie Chassard. I didn't know anything about him until
Stevie Chassard, monetization director at Ubisoft.
Critical Drinker posted this just now. And by the way, lore content's coming back, so that's going to be good. But we're also going to be doing lots of these as well, because I feel like it's really important for us to call out a lot of this bullshit that's going on in society today, because it's just not okay. And frankly, I've had enough of it. So Stevie Chassard,
and that's another thing. People don't like Star Wars theory. Get how this works, right? You and I are not allowed to complain about something. Okay, because you are the problem. But then when other people don't like what Star Wars theory is doing, they complain about it and then want something done about it. Follow that again. If you and I have a complaint about a product, okay, we're supposed to shut up and say nothing. But the people that don't like what he's doing, they're allowed to complain and want to be heard. Man, that is weird, isn't it? Isn't it? I like Star Wars theory personally. This dude doesn't get mad ever. He's just, I'm getting more animated than he is of just replying of what he's saying, just reacting to what he's doing. He's just
monetization director at Ubisoft, says, by the way, some backstory. Star Wars Outlaws completely tanked. It completely flopped.
Yeah. Facts. It flopped. Less than about 1 million copies sold. Okay, I played it. I enjoyed it. But the game was a year away from being complete.
And a lot of the people behind Ubisoft are blaming people online who have critiqued the game. I'm sure I'm one of them. And I have a lot to say to that. But let's go ahead and read what Mr. Chassard says regarding all of this critiquing and why you shouldn't do it. I rarely post on social media, but today I am sad. Ashamed and sad. The gaming industry is rough at the moment. We all know it. Yeah, why is it rough? Is it the consumers, or is it the people like you who are in?
It's rough because they're putting out broke, buggy, unfinished games that they fix 6, 12, 24 months down the line, but want your full price up front. That is the problem.
Charge of the multi-billion-dollar corporations who take on certain projects to make games. I've been playing games since 1993. I had the original NES. There's pictures of me as a kid with my diaper freaking playing goddamn video games. Anyways, you still have diapers at 3? I don't know.
You could have diapers at 3, but I don't think so. Maybe some kids do.
I probably did. But seeing how gamers react on social media, wishing ill fates to companies and people alike is sad. I agree on that. You never wish ill to people. A company, that's still not really my style. I would just say that they need to change course. But anyways, let's continue. And not only towards Ubisoft. Even though it is always the vocal minority that express themselves.
Is it the vocal minority? Because if it is the vocal minority, then what's the problem? If the vocal minority is the problem, then why even address it? That means the majority likes your product. But if that was the case, then the majority of the people would have bought your game. But the majority of people didn't buy your game. Is that because they didn't buy it because of the minority or because of the majority? Which one is it, Stevie?
Themselves on social media. That's a double-edged sword. So if it's something that he's going for, then is it a vocal minority, or is that the majority? You know,
right.
It's like, are Acolyte fans the vocal minority, or are they the majority? We know it's the minority because
of course we do, because we're not retarded. We know it's the minority.
Show didn't get renewed. Is that what they think?
I'm sorry. We know it's the majority that don't like it, not the minority.
Is that what people who like something think? There's so many issues with this guy's statements. Anyways, even though it is always the vocal minority that express themselves on social media, I was hurt. Hurt and ashamed to be a part of this community. Oh no. What is even more revolting is coming on LinkedIn.
Revolting. What even is more revolting is coming to LinkedIn and seeing the same comments from people within the industry.
And seeing the same comments from people within the industry. Oh, so they're eating themselves alive. So it's cannibalism. Within the gaming industry, there's people who are saying the same things as consumers. Kind of weird. It's almost like they're people and they want to enjoy product too, or maybe they have more of a professional outlook on something since they're literally behind the veil making it all happen as well. On top of exposing yourself as clearly non-decent human being, you're affecting thousands of employees that are already.
So I'm an indecent person because I point out that your game is incomplete. I'm a bad person for letting people know that the game is not finished, broke, buggy, and it shouldn't get full price. I mean, hell, even Ubisoft didn't want your full price, hence why they gave it to you for $18. The only reason they gave it to you for $18 is because they know the game is not done.
Impacted by all the hate despite doing their best to deliver incredible experiences. To this I say, absolutely everybody who gets a job and is paid to do so did their job.
That's right. We say that all the time. All of you guys are always like, well, I'm here to support the devs. The devs already got supported. They got investors to get money, to take a budget, to make the game. And then they made that game over the last 3 to 5 years. We all know it's 3. Okay, 3 years. They got a salary. They got paid weekly or monthly or bi-weekly or whatever. Okay, they made their money.
If the job was poor, then that's up to the studio to hire them or fire them. If the overall project was received poorly by the consumer, by the customer, which is what it was made for them to make money, you hope you make a good product.
That's right. You make the product, you make the game, you make the movie, you make the TV show, you make the soundtrack, you sell those said things, and if it's good and people like it, they will buy it. If it's bad and they don't like it, they will not buy it. We are not obligated to buy your stuff because you make it.
And the customer enjoys it and purchases it, and good word of mouth flows about your product, and more people will be like, all right, let me give this a shot. And not everyone's going to like it, but if most people are saying good things about it, then hey, great. Maybe you're going to get some returning customers and new ones at that. But if the overall project and consensus is shit and not well received by the consumer, then is it our fault who have already paid them?
That's right.
Paid the company for this product and weren't happy with the result. No, that's on the freaking company.
That's the business. That's on the business, no longer on the customer. The business's job is to make the money, pay the people to make the game, put it out. If it's good, it'll make money. If it's not good, it will not make money. I know, business is crazy.
And the project management and whatever it was, in this case, Outlaws, which was a really trash game. Really lazy, really poor, really cookie cutter. Just a garbage game that was $160.
Woo! $160? Oh, he's in Canada. I was like, wait a minute.
Mind you, with a lot of glitches. Not even the gameplay was bad, just a lot of glitches and things that were not done and rushed out. And then asked a hefty freaking price tag on it too. Is it the consumer, I would say, that is affecting those jobs, affecting those workers who already got their money? They got paid, and so did the company who got paid from the...
Like, what's the difference, chat? What's the difference if you went to a store, a box store, and someone sold you something, whatever it is, a mouse, okay? You bought a mouse at the store, at Best Buy. You brought it home, you started using it, it didn't work. You tried everything, right? You changed the batteries. You did a whole bunch of stuff, right? It didn't work. You bring it back to Best Buy, and you're like, my mouse didn't work. I would like a refund. And they're like, what are you, racist? You're like, no, I bought this mouse, and I would just like to return it because it's not working. You're racist. You're a sexist. You don't like our stuff. You're a sexist, misogynistic person, and that's why we don't want your business anymore. You're like, but I just want my money back. See, that doesn't happen in the video game industry because the video game industry has put a 2-hour time limit, not a 14-day time limit on it. They put a 2-hour time limit on something. They're like, well, you play 2 hours. Sorry, bud. And sometimes you don't even get the 2 hours. When you buy it digitally, you're fucked. You get to buy it early and never ever return it. You're not allowed to criticize it. You're not allowed to do anything. If you don't like something, you're just sexist. You're just misogynistic, right? You're just a hateful person. How dare you purchase this game and not like it and then tell everybody about it, and now these developers are crying in a corner because you don't like the project. Wow. Okay. Am I going to buy your stuff next time? No. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not going to buy your stuff next time because you told me that I wasn't allowed to criticize it, so then your next project that comes out, good luck to you. Good luck to you.
The people who purchased it and gave a fair review on what they thought was either a good game or a bad game. And this is why we have Game of the Year, with whether it be Halo or...
No, every game's Game of the Year. Comes out, it's up there.
Elden Ring or Gears of War or whatever other game hits Game of the Year. Maybe some of those didn't even hit Game of the Year, but for me, they were amazing. God of War, for example, one of my favorites, and so on and so forth. It really comes down to numbers. If something is good, people will consume it. They'll pay for it.
That's right.
It's really that simple. If someone thinks something is good, they'll buy it. It's not rocket science.
Oh,
And that's
no,
why you have statistics and numbers.
It's like some mathematical equation that people are looking. They're like, why are people buying this game over my game? They're
It's not like
lost.
if
They
something's
have no
gonna be
idea.
really good, people are going to say, you know what, that YouTuber or that blogger or that LinkedIn post really said it was shit, so I am not going to buy it. They will do the due diligence, believe me.
That's right. If I tell you, chat, how many times has this happened? I tell you I'm not interested in the game. What's the first thing you do? What's the first thing you do, okay, when I don't like a game? You're like, well, I like it, right? You do your research. You go find somebody else that's talking about the game that might like the game. And then if they're in line with you, you're like, well, I'm going to buy it because that's the type of game that I want to buy, right? You're going to do your due diligence to see if you like a game or not.
If anything, people talking about it are just doing more and more marketing, free marketing for the product for people to actually go and do their due diligence and check it out. Check out the trailers, check out the gameplay, check out the clips and the reels. And then, because Google works the way it works, their feed is going to be filled with tons more of that game or that product or whatever. And then they'll really be able to make even more of a thoughtful consensus about it and have an opinion. How can you wish a company to fail simply because they do not cater to you or that the product does not please you is beyond me. Well, yeah, that's how it works, man. If a product has a certain precedent.
If the product doesn't work, or if you don't like the product, you're allowed to say you don't like it. You're also allowed to say that you like it. Okay? We're all not going to be all in unity to be like, well, I like it, so you have to like it. No, we're all different people. We're all going to like something or not like something, right? I like sci-fi. You don't like sci-fi. I think the game's good. You think it's shit. This is life. But if the majority of the people don't think the game is good, then the majority of the people don't buy the game. And if the majority of the people don't buy the game, well, then your game fails. And if your game fails, well, then it's a failed product, regardless if the people, the minority, bought it and liked it. The majority didn't like it.
A Star Wars product, Star Wars game from LucasArts before us. And now we get something that's much less than that, something ill-received because it was just made poorly, with glitches, high price tag, and just a cookie-cutter game that was just junk, and nobody wanted it, not fun, boring, then is that our fault as the consumer? You know, that's your fault. That's you guys having a bad...
That's right. It's 100% their fault, not your fault, not my fault, that their game didn't sell well.
Vision, and not finishing a game properly. And then...
Because if a game can come out, if a game company can come out, like Black Myth Wukong, I didn't buy it, right? But 20 million people did. And if a company can blame the people for gaming a game to fail, then you have to make it succeed for them as well, right? The majority of the population like Black Myth Wukong, regardless if technically the large amount of people that bought it, there's 20 million people that bought Black Myth Wukong. There's still 47 million people, okay, that didn't purchase it on PlayStation, or 1.2 billion people that didn't buy it on PC. So technically, the people that liked it are still the majority, or the minority, I'm sorry, of the bigger scale of people buying the game. But they made enough money where they're successful. Star Wars Outlaws did not.
And then asking an exorbitant amount of money for it as well. That's not the fault of the consumer.
Imagine paying $160 and you fall through the floor.
That's you guys, Ubisoft, or whatever company, Lucasfilm. If you're making a product that people don't like The Acolyte, for example, it's not because of YouTubers saying,
Lockstep. Thank you, Trip.
hey, this is shit. All the stats are out there, man. The show can be watched. All the clips and stuff are out there for people to check out for themselves. Believe me, If something is talked about enough and controversial enough, everyone is going to go and check it out and see it, and therefore make their own decision. And if it's really that bad, people are not going to support it. It's that simple. We're all on the same boat. Yeah, absolutely. We all want good products, and companies want to be rich for making a good product. That's how it works. Please, please, please stop spreading hate. So this is
before I comment there, FM Maloney says, I've been playing Outlaws via Ubisoft Plus that it bought via award points. I enjoy it. It's repetitive but challenging. It's not great, but it's also like the ability to change the story. I also like the game, but I also saw the problems with the game. The AI is idiotic. The difficulty level for me wasn't very hard. Okay, the stealth was absolute garbage. Okay, like this game needed more time, but I still enjoyed what they built. I still like what Massive built of the Star Wars world. I thought it was really detailed and cool, and I loved the areas. But I didn't like the gameplay of the game, right? He also says, it's nothing new. This generation of business strategy is we deserve praise for just showing up, just putting it out. Right. Well, I showed up, guys. I showed up. How come I'm not successful? It's like, that's not how it works, right? That's not how it works.
what I have a problem with. I agree. I don't like people who spread hate. However, I believe that hate here, and in a lot of cases today when it comes to critiquing media of any kind, is now misconstrued and confused with having an opinion. And I think that is just so ridiculous.
It is.
I think it's just not okay. I don't think it's acceptable. And I think we really need to nip this in the butt before this starts to become a bigger and bigger thing, where toxic positivity is running rampant in the streets, where everyone has a gag order unless they blindly freaking love.
That's right. If you blindly love something, you're okay to speak, right? But if you have anything negative to say, you know what you are.
Of a piece of shit product and ask for more. Because you know what's going to happen? All your favorite things are going to no longer be made the way that you love them.
That's right.
The way that made them
They're gonna make them more shitty
in the first place. They're going to be perverted, changed.
Yep.
And these big studio heads are going to be like, you know what? No one's saying anything bad. So how about we go ahead?
Right. So if no one has any criticism whatsoever, they're like, well, they must have liked it. Let's give them more of this. And the people that, and this is where I defend, right? You changed my story of a thing that I loved, and you're changing it for your story, and I don't like it. I'm letting you know I don't like where you're going with this. And if you go this direction, I'm not supporting your game. I'm not supporting your movie. I'm not supporting your book. I'm not supporting it. I'm not gatekeeping in any way, shape, or form. They put out a product in the beginning. We like that product. Someone else took that product over and is now trying to change what made it successful. If you go that well, by all means, go ahead. But then don't be mad when the fan base that was there leaves because you've changed it for the better. Okay?
Go ahead and we make more. However, even then, numbers still don't lie. So whether people are completely silent or they're vocal about a product or game, which I would say really does more marketing for something than not, I believe that the numbers will always speak true. So if a company looks at something and says, you know what, like Outlaws, for example, which is being reported now to have sold only 1 million copies, people are going to be like, why would we ever go ahead and make this again? This lost us. I think that lost them, like $200 million?
Yep.
Or something along those lines.
Along the lines of that.
I mean, the game was $160 3 days before launch. They play it 3 days early, I should say. And then now it's, I think, like $59.99. Some people
Jesus. It's like $110 off where he is.
We're saying. I mean, that's a huge drop. That is a massive drop. Look at GTA. It's still holding its figure. It's still holding its value pretty good. It's because the game was...
Because Grand Theft Auto is good. People like it. That's why people buy it. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. They bought it on the old system, the new system, and probably the PC.
Extremely expensive, and they put it in the right spot. They put it in the right place, where the game actually turned out to be timeless and good. I mean, that game is super old now, GTA 5, and people are still playing it like crazy, and they're anticipating GTA 6, which I can't wait.
You know how many people hate Fortnite? How many people in this chat alone hate Fortnite? Just hate it. You don't like it. You don't like the BR. You don't like Fortnite, right? You think because you hate it, that how come it's not successful? Or how come it's successful? How come if you, the people that criticized Fortnite, that don't play Fortnite, right? If you don't play it, you don't like it, you hate it. You hate Epic, you hate Fortnite, you never touch it, you never do anything. But yet, for some strange reason, you've worded it out loud and said that you don't like it. But for some strange reason, they've made $1 trillion. Amazing. Rodriguez says hate's a strong word. I just don't like it. But you know what I'm saying, Rodriguez, right? How many people criticize it or don't like it, but yet it's successful?
It's going to be amazing. So while I believe, yeah, we shouldn't be negative people, when it comes to judging a product or a meal or a food or a restaurant or piece of art, that is literally your duty as a
as a customer
to judge that thing and to be like, well, you know what?
I'll tell you what, if you don't want to be judged, then make sure you don't make a product or do anything that sells anything to anybody, right? Make sure you're a hermit under a bridge, and make sure you never charge anybody to go over your bridge, because they're going to be like, what? You're charging 25 cents? That's too much. They're going to criticize you. Make sure you don't ever interact with anybody if you don't want to be criticized.
I don't like this. Okay, why don't you like it? Well, for this, and that reason. Okay, sure, I can see that, but you know what? I think differently, and I enjoyed it. And that doesn't mean you have to agree with them. That just means that you have the right to give your take and give your opinion on everything. You don't got to shut your mouth. You don't got to just be like, yeah, Star Wars Outlaws, was a bunch of really talented people that came together and worked on something. Sure, but that doesn't mean anything, clearly, because the game was not well received. And if it was an amazing game, it would have sold millions and millions and millions of copies, just like Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order, which sold, I think it was, let's see here, by the end of January 2020, which was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'll give you a good example of a product that is either successful or not successful, and it has nothing to do with something you buy. It's something that you support or watch. Okay, if you're a sports fan and you happen to live in a city of a team like I'll use my team, the Mets. Okay, the New York Mets, from like 1986 to like 2000, they were like terrible. They're still terrible at points in my life. Okay, they're doing good this year. Okay, but a billionaire, okay, puts a team together. He invests his money and pays for these players to come onto the team. Okay, it's the owner's responsibility to put the best team together with the money that he has, to then try to fill the seats. Okay, if the team is good, it will fill the seats. Okay, but if the team is bad, the seat's empty. If the seats are empty, it's less money coming in. Now, the boss has already paid the salaries to these players in some shape of contracts or whatnot. They're getting paid regardless, okay, if there's people in the seats or not. Okay, obviously, if it's a team that's competitive and they're in the playoffs and people come to the seats, they buy more concessions, they do for parking, they make more money, they make tons and tons of money. Okay, because that is what they're doing. They're taking the money, investing it in their developers, in this case, the athletes on the field. If the team comes together and gels together very well, they make a good product, they win. And if they win, it fills the seats. It gets customers into the ecosystem of what they're trying to sell. Okay, there's no difference between the publisher developer paying for the players/developers to make the product, which is the team, to come together to make the stuff. Make a product, sell a product. Get criticized, you still have your team, you just got to do better next season. You got to do better next time you make your next piece of software.
They already sold 8 million copies. Over 10 million units were sold by the end of March 2022. So within 2 months, they sold 2 million copies. By June 2021, the game had reached... 2021 had 20 million players, man. Holy moly. I didn't know it was that high, okay? I mean, that's much more than I originally thought. But yeah, look, let's read what Critical Drinker had to say about this comment. He said, people like you made it your mission to insult, vilify, and berate your own audience purely to own the chuds. And now you're surprised when those same people laugh at your inevitable failure.
Yeah, it's so tone deaf.
I agree with that, but I would also add to it, even the people that he owned the chuds, like make fun of his very customer base, if the game was good, people would still buy it. I'd say, yeah, it would like definitely take a hit. Some people would be like, nah, screw you.
Like, instead of this marketing director or microtransaction director at Ubisoft making this tweet, He should have went back into the business and said, what can we do to make it better? No. Instead, he wants to ask for people, stop being mean. Stop criticizing us. We're working hard. Welcome to the world. Welcome to the world.
I ain't supporting your game, even if it's amazing. But people would still buy it if it was a great game because they just want to play a good game at the end of the day. They're like, whatever. Yeah, this guy said what he said, but I want to play this game. And the reason they didn't is not because of anything other than the game not being good. For example, if someone is like Amanda Stenberg, for her to call people who didn't like The Acolyte the literal minority of like racist comments.
Right, the minority of the people that didn't like the show that maybe said racist things that no one's ever shown proof of, by the way.
And horrible comments that she got, which I do not agree with, I don't condone. For her to call every single person who didn't like The Acolyte, like me, for example, and to say you're racist, you're a bigot, you're alt-right, this and that. I mean, I take offense to that, man. I'm just a Star Wars fan and I want a good thing. Don't call me those things. Don't put me in some box just because I didn't like your shit product. I didn't like your shitty show, which was half-baked and not true to George Lucas Star Wars. So I take great offense to that. I think that's ridiculous, especially someone in that field to say such a thing about her own consumers, her own customer. Like, think about that. It's like, well, if you don't like my hamburger at my restaurant, then you're a racist.
Right, what I just said before, right? I'm returning this mouse. You don't like the mouse? You're racist. You're sexist. You're misogynistic. Be like, but your mouse is broke. Your mouse is a piece of shit. Right? There's no difference in what they're trying to do, but for some reason it's different for software.
Like, get real, man. This kind of behavior, I think, needs to stop, and I love calling it out every single time that somebody does something like this. So I think you should as well. Always, always be respectful, because the moment you are rude, they just harp on that. First of all, it's not classy, and it takes away from your argument. And then they also just have something to say to detract from any of the actual points that you're making. So, just always be James Bond about it. Be like, you know what? Have your points, have your opinions, and give your reasons why.
Right.
And leave it at that. Leave that on the table, just like the numbers are on the table. And the numbers don't lie, and neither do the facts. Love you guys. Thanks for listening to what I had to say. Hope you have a great day. May the Force be with you always.
There you go. Star Wars Theory. Check him out. If you like Star Wars, right? If you like Star Wars content, he's coming out with a short film again. I think Vader Episode 2, and he talks about Star Wars, right? He's the biggest Star Wars creator on the platform. Look, I always think it's funny that all of these companies, you have to look at it as this is a marketing ploy. They use this to get people upset. They use this to get people, oh, well, if we keep calling them racist, they're going to keep talking about it. And congratulations, you're absolutely right. But the difference is, not only are we criticizing the game that you're working on now, but we're criticizing your stupid takes. Because every time someone someone dislikes something, we're not sexist, we're not racist, we're not misogynistic, okay? We just don't like your product. It doesn't mean we hate your product. We just look at your product and say, well, you sold us a product that's broke, buggy, and unfinished, and I'm vocalizing that, telling you that don't buy this. If you like your money, don't buy this right now. Wait for it to go on sale. If you don't like it, pay the $18 for the month, play it for the month, and then put it down, okay? Don't purchase this thing because it is a bad game at this point in time. But here's the wonderful part about video games. You don't have to buy a brand new game on day one. You can wait a month, right? You can wait a year. It's still going to be there. Right? Guys, like him, go give it a like. Go give it a thumbs up. Go give it a subscribe. Star Wars Theory. It should be in the description down below for this channel.